Law Firm is in conversation with Professor N.R. Madhav Menon, who pioneered the way law is taught today. His achievements include founding the National Law Schools of Bangalore, Kolkata, and the National Judicial Academy in Bhopal. Sir, what has been your experience in running the continuing legal education program for the last 3 years? And would you have any suggestions regarding its development?
I believe that continuing legal education, like continuing education in all other professions, have become a necessity in every part of the world. I believe in some places they are mandatorily required by the professional organization. The object is to ensure that competent services are made available to the common man seeking legal services. And given the fact that law is changing almost every day, given the fact that the problems in society for which legal solutions are sought are also changing fast, every professional, be he a lawyer or a judge or a law teacher, need to update not only his knowledge but the skills and the competence with which he would be able to use that knowledge to address the problems in society. I therefore believe that this is a very desirable thing. Unfortunately, I do not know why the Bar Council of India has been rather indifferent to continuing legal education. What I have done in the last 3 years gives me tremendous satisfaction because there are people in the profession who are seeking education and they are even prepared to pay for it. There is nobody who is giving that. So from that point I have made it that it's a great service for professional development.
So though it's informal at the moment because it's your organization which is endeavoring to do it, but it has not yet reached the formal stage.
It's informal at the moment, but at the end of 3 years, I believe that I would be able to set up half a dozen institutes for continuing legal education attached to some of the progressive law schools in the country.
Right.
So that is an outcome of the activity that has been carried on in this regard.
So the next question is, with all the effort that you've taken to establish formal legal education systems like NLS, NUJs, and also to train judges by establishing the National Judicial Academy, do you think informal mechanisms like educating students and commoners through websites is of any good? Would you have?
It's absolutely not only good, it is perhaps very desirable because the reach of these formal systems is so limited that unless you have the informal systems mobilized with the help of technology, you will not be able to reach the population of the country's India's size perhaps in the next 100 years. So therefore it is most welcome that any strategy to reach out to larger sections of people, many of whom are illiterate, so you may have to have the visual medium or any other medium by which you will be able to reach out and make them understand in the language in which they can understand it. So therefore it's very desirable, and what you are doing is very commendable, no doubt.
So 5 years back, you had spoken about starting a program called Education for Responsible Citizenship, where you were intending to take educating students at high school level of the legal rights and constitutionality, etc. How has it fared, sir, since then?
It took off well and was quite promising, but what happened was that I thought of giving this to the students between the 8th standard and the 11th standard. Now, by the time you reach the 11th standard, your object is to get the highest marks. You go for all types of tuitions, which leave very little time for the students to take anything other than what is prescribed in their school curriculum. So I tried whether this could occupy some modules in the prescribed syllabus of the higher secondary students. But that requires permission of the government higher authorities, and I believe that the NCERT has started developing some human rights modules and introducing it to the CBSE syllabus.
Yes.
Some state boards have also adopted it. I do not know its impact, but I took it as a voluntary from the part of the students and those who think that this is going to benefit them. And one of my experience is that when I did it in a rural school, many of the participants in my 4-month-long program on responsible citizenship were the parents of the children. So the parents came to attend this program and asked several questions regarding the aspects of fundamental rights, their right to food, the right to health, the right to education, and they were sharing it. And I thought it's a good method, because when the mother comes from a family to get some ideas from this program, she transmitted to all other children who were not in this program at the level in which she can convey by stories or otherwise. So it's a program which should be, I say this because this was sponsored by the Parent Teacher Association of the school. So as a voluntary measure, it has tremendous scope, because interested people come, they learn, they transmit, they try to apply it. They, if they have problems, they come to seek legal aid, legal advice. So it's a chain reaction. It will take time, but it's very promising. But I could not take off much, probably partly because there are not many people who could continue that along with me. It's not a one-man's task. So that way, and moreover, my own incompetence in making legal lessons in law understandable to a child of 13, 14 years has also come in the way. So you have to develop your own proficiency to make law understandable to the common man.
Right. And to a child, it would
and to a child more particularly. So that also came in the way of this program picking up. But I am pursuing it, because without responsible citizenship, the country will not be able to be governed under rule of law.
Absolutely.
And citizens have great responsibility under the Constitution.
Do you think if you make it like a compulsory course like environmental science has suddenly been made in class 2, when I was passing out my high school, it was made mandatory. So if you had to score a certain
the difficulty is the teachers will say they are not competent to teach it. Then you will have to appoint law teachers in schools. Or you have to train the teachers and develop the reading materials therefore. But it's a desirable thing. In the long run, it needs to be addressed.
Then the last question, it's not a question essentially, it's a request. We have 40 odd students working for our website, and there are students ranging from 2nd years to 5th years, and there are young lawyers And we are really working hard towards building a database which is accessible and which is simple on legal matters and which are of contemporary relevance. Would you have any suggestion for us, like some things that we should keep in mind, or some things we should not do, or we should specifically do to achieve the objective?
No, it's a limited objective of operating a website transmitting information to the public at large. But if you are able to persuade more number of students and you can command more resources, there are now many other strategies by which what you are doing can more effectively reach out to people. For example, if you run a radio station from NUJS, which will operate, let us say, 2 hours every day, or if that is inconvenient, let us say 2 hours on Saturdays and Sundays, which will give information on special areas relevant to the rural people or to the illiterate people, and then try to answer their questions which come to you. You will have done something great.
Yeah, that's a very interesting suggestion. I think
so, and now you can set up a radio station for hardly 5 lakhs, 6 lakhs of rupees, for which there is your reach will be about 15-20 kilometers.
Right.
But
that's a very nice suggestion. Thank you so much. So that's about it. Thank you so much for your time.
Keep it up. It's excellent work, and I wish you all the best.